Welcome back to the Good Green Home Show with Rich and Shawna. Today we have a special guest. We actually have an actual certified arborist. We have Scott Polster with Forever Green Company.
Welcome. And the crowd goes wild.
Thanks for having
Woo!
me. It's an honor, privilege.
Well, thanks for being here, because I think trees are a very, very important thing, and an arborist is actually, what is the definition of an arborist, Scott?
Tree specialist, just a fancy way of saying a tree guy.
Yeah.
He's a tree guy. I know a guy.
He's the guy. And
Those that study arboriculture, that really narrows it down, right?
So you guys study trees, but you take care of trees, and you're also on a local tree board and a member of the Tree Steward program as well. What's that, the Indiana Tree Steward program?
Yeah, we just, someone that works for you, your nursery manager, Brian Angerman, he and I got involved in that last year, went through a course called Tree Stewards, and now we're doing more with that. With that, we have to do volunteer work. I think it's like 15 hours annually we have to satisfy to maintain that status. It's like a crash course in arboriculture in 2 days. As much as you can learn about trees, they force down your throats. And
So when did you
2 days'
learn,
time.
when did you get the bug? You know the bug, the one that made you addicted to trees and wanting to be an arborist.
Well, it started in college. I got a degree in forestry, Purdue, and I wanted to be a conservation officer, but decided to get more into trees and went and took the certified arborist exam, and been playing with trees ever since. And
How many years have you been
a
an
few
arborist?
decades now. I've lost count of how many years it is, but we're
Decades.
talking
Closer to 30?
decades
You
now.
look so
Yeah.
young, though.
Well,
Come
thanks.
on.
No, ancient. Yeah, just a lot of fish oil. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot we can talk about trees. I have a personal problem with the tree. So, I'm the one, I want to jump in with the first question. That all right with you?
That's fine.
Okay, we're going for it.
I'm going to grill you now.
I planted a Japanese maple several years ago, and I planted it on top of a berm that is heavy clay soil. I've since learned that clay is not always the best for Japanese maple. It's an understory area, so there is shade. And then last winter we had minus 30. And so now what I have remaining is a half of a Japanese maple. It has leaf on the bottom, but not on the top part. So we had to cut off the top limbs that were dead. And now my question is, do I try to save it, or should I just go out and get another understory plant that might be a better substitution?
Well, you're getting towards the 50% rule. When you get down to about half of what's left of the plant of the tree,
Yes.
and you have to make that judgment call on whether you want to retain or continue your efforts.
It's definitely less than 50%. So
And
I'm
sure
thinking
was
it needs to go.
a weather-related trauma,
Oh,
what we
yeah.
call an abiotic disorder, because they're usually pretty good when it comes to pest issues. They usually don't have too many. But I'd probably reassess this spring, see how it leaves out. If most of it's
it
coming
does,
back, you may want to nurture, encourage.
What are other
Otherwise-
understory trees and shrubs that might be evergreen or interesting for a shady area?
Well, if I'm going to start with the evergreens, I'm probably going to start with hemlock.
I love hemlock.
The one that we have regionally, Tsuga canadensis, that's eastern hemlock.
Eastern, I'm going to write
They
that
have the
down.
potential to get enormous. You get out towards the East Coast, they can get really big. But out here, they tend to stay a little bit on the smaller side. Another one that everybody gets them are the yews. Yews are always okay for shady
Yeah.
areas.
But
you know.
a yew is so boring.
So played out. I like the
Yeah.
hemlock idea. I think
But, I mean,
that's a
those
good-
are your evergreens when it comes to lower light, shady areas. They tend to do better there. And then beyond that, when you talk shade and you talk slope, I immediately think of what's called shadblow, but that's a deciduous. Also goes by the name of amelanchier, serviceberry.
Serviceberry.
Yeah, what is
It's got several.
serviceberry?
Juneberry is another.
You
There's
were
probably
t-
more common names for amelanchier than
You were talking
other
in
plants.
Latin, and I
Yeah,
totally
serviceberry.
lost
As soon as you
me.
say serviceberry,
Serviceberry.
That's a common name.
That's a
Yeah.
common one.
Then your eyes
Well,
light up.
serviceberry attracts birds as
Right.
well, right? So that would be
Exactly.
very good for the environment.
and I like to eat them too, so it's also edible for us.
That makes
Isn't it very high in antioxidants, the serviceberry berries from it?
That I don't know. Now you've just
But I love the idea of
something I
contributing
was
back to the
oblivious to.
environment.
We're gonna get back to you on that.
Yeah, any kind of berry, generally speaking, is better for bird protection. They also birds like to hide in middle of shrubs that are heavy woody because it's protection for
Right.
them.
They like viburnums, I think, around here a lot. And there's another berry one.
Blueberry viburnum. Ooh, those
Cranberry and-
yeah, all of those. They're neat.
Well, you're talking plants with escape/concealment cover. Service berry is probably not ideal for that, but it does have the fruit, so that's a draw from that angle. But I immediately start thinking of your rosaceae members, the crabs, the hawthorns, hawthorns especially. But then you were talking about low light, so
Yeah, it is low light, and I have.
I love the
allergy
hemlock
to
idea.
I have allergies to flowering plants. I think the hemlock is probably the smartest choice of all those. So we are at the end of our segment, Scott, already.
Yeah, we
That
could
was
talk
so
about trees
fast.
forever.
I
Time
love
flies.
trees. I
I
love
thought
trees.
this was going to be all day, all night.
We
With
can.
cocktails.
We're gonna have some drinks for you over there.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. All right, this was Scott Polster, certified arborist and tree steward on the Good Green Home Show. Stick around after these messages. We'll be right back.
Do you want to stop garden insects before they become a problem? Bonide All Seasons Horticultural Spray is your answer and will stop your garden insects before they hatch. Early spraying smothers most insect eggs left behind by last year's plant-destroying insects. Bonide's All Season Horticultural Spray Oil will destroy insect eggs in early spring and, if used throughout the season, will control all stages of insects. Bonide All Season Spray Oil is recommended for use on shade trees, fruit trees, shrubs, roses, and ornamental plants. Bonide All Seasons Horticultural Spray Oil is easy to use and an all-natural product that can be used all season long. Bonide products are family made in America. All Seasons Horticultural Spray Oil is available at your local hardware store, garden center, or farm feed store, or go to bonide.com for a retailer near you.
House of Home and Nursery. Think outside the box store.